Good morning to you, beautiful people out there this morning. Welcome to FYI. I am your host this morning, Joretta Fernandez. Today we have Tuesday, the 8th of February, 2022. Again, this has been a beautiful week thus far, and I hope everyone out there have been enjoying the days and all of that. As you would notice this morning, I'm alone. Sherry Duncan, as you normally expect him, he's not with me this morning. I can assure you that he's not too far off. He's always around. So, and we'll be having pretty soon. We'll be joined by Amanda Walton this year also. So please come, invite your friends, family. Make sure that you share the live stream. As Sharon Duncan says, share the live. I'm not saying it like he does, but share the live, share the live, share the live. And good morning. I'm hoping that our technicians can bring up our comment section that I can so see person's comments and who is coming in and joining us this morning. Anna Phillips, good morning to you. How was your weekend? I hope everything has been absolutely wonderful. Yesterday was Monday. We had a pretty exhausting day, but what can I say? It is what it is. That's what we signed up for. So now I'm with you this morning. I was up since about 5 a.m. to make sure that I am here with you and I'm not late, but I'm still a little bit late, 5 minutes in. I see. Good morning from Toronto, William Koja. Good morning to you, William. It's always nice to see people tuning in from in the diaspora and around the world. It is always a pleasure. Bless good morning, all from Coretta Kingston. Good morning to you, Coretta. Clayton Dane. Good morning to you, Clayton. Your names come up pretty fast, Sherry does this absolutely excellently. Pearl Prowell. Hi, Pearl. You joined us from New York this morning. Good morning to all you wonderful persons joining from New York. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Guys, this morning as I was coming down the road, I was noting some cleaning up activities are being done. We see some weeding being done and so forth. But I want to give some advice to the persons, to these contractors that are actually taking these weeding contracts and so in the morning. They need to provide toilet facilities for their workers. You can't have your workers out there all day without toilet facilities. It's absolutely crazy. We see women out there and they're literally trying to go behind cars to urinate, and it's a mess out there. So you're taking the government contract, the taxpayers' dollars to go and weed on the carpets and so forth. Do it in such a way that the persons that are employed are being treated as human beings in the most humane way possible. All right, guys. I see Maureen Williams saying good morning. Good morning to you, Maureen. I think, Maureen, you're always up and about very, very early. Andrew Cosbert, I see you joining us this morning. And I see my technicians are doing their own little bit of background work this morning. Oh, I see with us we have Miss Phillips, Lynette, Joseph. Good morning to you all. So Pauline Hicks. Good morning, Pauline. I see Pauline, and this name pops up very, very often. I follow in the comment section, and Pauline, you're very, very much here all the time. Uh, Jade, good morning to you, Jade. Pleasant morning, everyone. We're seeing from Liverpool, Desiree, Liverpool. Hey, Desiree. I do look fresh, fresh as a rose, Jade. Rest looks fresh as a rose. I was up when you're up since 5 a.m. in the morning. It's impossible to look differently. It's that beautiful morning just greeting you. You are up at the crack of dawn and you just open your window. There's no sunlight out as yet. And it's a beautiful feeling altogether. I encourage everyone to go out and actually have that type of morning. I have this personality that I'm usually always smiling. So no matter how difficult the day is, I'm usually just bringing it in with a smile. The situation, all hell could be breaking loose, and I am just calm and collective throughout it all. So some persons wonder, what's going on? Why are you so calm about it? But I believe that once you have a positive outlook and a positive attitude to whatever is happening, we will get through that. So I encourage everyone to have that optimistic personality. We don't want a pessimism coming through. Once you start your morning off wonderfully, you tend to go through it with ease, quite comfortably. Now, like I said, my colleague Amanda is going to be joining me pretty soon, and she's going to be talking about a lot of what is going on in our country today. As you know, FYI is for your information, and every morning we seek to bring you credible information. I want to talk to you about what's going on our roadways. It's not nice at all. It brings us a lot of despair to actually come before you in the morning and actually have to report on accidents on the road. This is something that we do not want at all. And this morning, I was noting there was an accident on Mandela Avenue last evening. Again, there was another accident in Maruka. Then there's another accident in Mahaika last evening. People, we got to be more careful on the roadways. We can't just continue to drive without the care and the caution and the consideration. That's not how it's done. We are not only responsible for our own lives when we are on the roadways, but we are also responsible for the other road users' lives as well. So we can't just go out there in a haste. Sometimes you may be a little frustrated. It may not be your best day and you're going out there and your mind is all over. Just pull over. You're not feeling well, just pull over. You have to take a phone call, just pull over to the side of the road. You are not doing yourself any harm by pulling over. You are never too late to put yourself in a situation that you put your own life and the lives of other persons at risk. So I'm appealing with the road users, drivers out there. We have pedestrians on the road. We have so many persons, the cyclists on the road. Let us be considerate in the way in which we use the roadways in the morning. So I see Marlon Thomas is with us this morning also. I see Karen McCoy is saying, Sharon, like you still sleeping. Well, I don't know about that, but I hope Sharon is not sleeping this morning at this time. But he works pretty hard. He's online with you morning, midday, and night. So he deserves some rest. Um, Don Cook, good morning to you, Don Cook. How are you feeling? How is this morning going for you? I'm having coffee this morning. I hope persons are having a better breakfast than me this morning, but it's just going to be coffee this morning. What are you having for breakfast, Dawn? Andrew Cosbert. What are you guys having for breakfast? In the morning when we come on, we just don't want to go straight into the information and all the taxing bit of details. We want to be lighter. Let's chit chat. Tell me what's going on home by you, wherever you're joining us from, and let me talk to you about how are things on my end. Good morning to you, Sanford, Tyson Sanford. Good morning, Tyson. George Jones, good morning to you. How is your morning going? Ramsaruk, Miss Ramsaruk, good morning to you. Judith, David. Judith is having porridge for breakfast. Every time I see Judith join, I know Judith is putting effort into this because the internet in Bartik is not nice at all. So, Judith, thank you for putting effort into joining this broadcast every single morning. I see George Jones is checking in from Linden. So Linden, big up everyone coming from Linden. Linden have some very strong names coming out of Linden. Actually, Amanza Walton Desir is from Linden also. We have a lot of strong names that actually came from Linden in politics, in sports, and so many different areas. Linden, big up yourself. Well, Bartik will have some strong names too, okay? Judith, you tell them. Good morning to you, Miss Overmuller. Miss Overmuller, Janet Overmuller. Janet Overmuller is one of those persons that actually take the fight to the comments. A lot of times we have the program going on and then the fight is going on differently. So in the comment section, Janet, you actually take the fight to the comments. You can't say nothing negative. Don't bring any negativity to the comment section. Janet is always there to deal with you. All right, guys, I want to actually start off to go into a little bit of the information that we have out there. I want to touch on a little bit of info that was revealed in the National assembly yesterday. This is for your information, and for all intents and purposes, we're here to bring you information as to everything that is transpiring in the country. And right now, the biggest set of news is coming out of the budget debates that happened last week, and now we're looking at the estimates. And the estimates are actually, I should have actually brought those books. The estimates is three huge books that we have to go through, hundreds and hundreds of pages, and we actually have to go through it page for page. There's no page that we can leave out, and line for line. So when we go to the National Assembly and we actually examine those estimates, sometimes you see some figures and you have to question them, and the ministers sit there and they have to basically defend how they intend to spend this money. Because most definitely you can't just put a line item as, $5 billion and then expect us not to want to know, well, how do you intend to spend this $5 billion? And a lot of times you would know that those are the areas in which we actually expose what is happening. Those are the times in which the country is actually made aware of what did not happen in the previous year. And those are some of the things that I want to talk about this morning. The very first one I'm going to touch on is the Office of the President, Program 3. The Office of the President Program 3 yesterday went into the National Assembly after having in 2021 a budget of less than $1 million. The Office of the President Program 3 actually budgeted over $35 million for telephone and internet charging. Yep, you heard that right. The Office of the President Program 3 actually budgeted yesterday over $35 million for telephone and internet charging. I'm telling you, this comes from a previous budget in 2021 of less than $1 million. I don't understand how they expect us to digest that. And when we were questioning the minister that was responsible there was Minister Gail Teixeira, when we were questioning her as to how do you get to this number? How do you move from less than $1 million to now budgeting for over $35 million? What did she say? Well, she basically went around with all the political chit chat and banter and actually said absolutely nothing about what she intends to do and what is actually going to happen. I'm smiling. I see in the background, I see Amanda Walton is there, my colleague, the Lindena, she said Barbation too. So I'm going to just pause for a little bit. Amanda, come on set. We're not just going, we're not proper in here. We're not politically correct in all that we're doing and all of that. So Amanda, just step on set. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Morning.
I'm just going to give some room between us here.
We're going to scooch over.
We're going to scooch over, as we say. All right, guys, you see the beautiful Amanda Walton Desire being with us here this morning. I see
we're being mic'd up.
We're being mic'd up this morning by one of our technicians. All right, Amanda, how was your day, Amanda? We woke you up very early this morning to come here.
I'm up very early, actually, usually. I get up at 5.
Oh, 5 a.m. Well, I say Amanda's an early riser. Amanda is just like so many of us, right? I think as mothers, we get up way earlier than everyone else. The men folks are actually allowed to get up later than usual. But as women, we have to get up. There's a whole lot of things that we have to do that.
I am so grateful that is no longer my life. There was this time that I used to have to get up and cook and for the children to go to school. Mm-hmm. But the boys are grown.
They're doing it themselves now.
The boys are grown.
Look at you.
One is in
I'm jealous.
In pre-med in college, and the other one is now finishing off school. So yeah.
I'm jealous, I'm pretty jealous because if I didn't have my mother to help me in the morning, God knows what would have happened to me.
Well, this is the life of working women. It's we're expected to do.
Yes, definitely. Well, and we do it. We do it. We don't complain.
Yeah.
We like it. We like taking care of family. We like having the responsibility to nurture and care and provide for it. So we're all right. We just ask for that support. That shoulder
Yes,
brace on
yes,
whenever we're
yes,
feeling down and out and
yes,
all of that. So,
absolutely.
mans have been discussing just before you came in some of the things that unfolded in the National Assembly yesterday
Yesterday.
and how it actually happened. So one of the things that we were just talking about is this 35 plus million dollars that is being budgeted for the telephone and internet charges, right? So that was something that was very interesting. We also had the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, a program one. They just put a figure of actually $100 million on the heading other. So people, I need you to understand, when we go to the National Assembly, we ask questions. It's just not, we're just not just
Yes.
fumbling and trying to look
Yes.
for an issue.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
can't put OTHER and then go ahead and write $100 million
Million.
and
Can you
expect us
imagine?
not to want to know what exactly you're spending this money on. And it is most ridiculous the manner in which the responses are coming. The manner in which the responses are coming is as though, they are upset that they
That's
have
what
to
we're
give.
asking. What we're asking.
Yes, their child was saying is like, you gotta squeeze the information out of them.
But I think it's really indicative of an attitude that they have.
Yes.
That you how dare you ask us?
How dare?
But I keep pointing out, this is not to give the share of our drug dealers money.
Yep.
This is the taxpayers' money.
Yep.
That they wrench out of you every month in taxes and PAYE and all manner of things, among other things. But they have a duty of accounting. But they don't seem to think that.
But they don't. I don't think they are used to actually accounting. And we can go continue. We have the Office of the Prime Minister, Program One. The Office of the Prime Minister.
In the defense of his budget, it was horrible.
The Prime Minister was absolutely horrible. I kid you not. You could go back and look at it yourself. The Prime Minister did not seem to understand what he was doing with the budget. He did not seem to understand where these monies will be spent and how. He didn't seem to understand the mechanisms that may be used to distribute these monies. And one of the things I noted was in Program One, they had again other and then $200 million. How do you go to the National Assembly and say that other $200 million and then be upset and be have an attitude when you're being questioned as to what these monies are being used for? When he was drilled, he further revealed that he's going to have services of advisors for $26.4 million.
Necessary.
So we asked a question. First, I want people to follow as to how these people operate. He said they have budgeted $26.4 million for advisors. So naturally, the question that came from the opposition was, how many advisors? This is a budget. You just didn't pull this number out of the sky. He said, as many as he seen necessary in the National Assembly. Spending taxpayers' money. This is as though this man believed that he took this money out of his bank account and he's going to spend this money. Amanda, what are you making of all of this?
They again, it comes back to the attitude of we will do what we want. And I think it's inexcusable. Look, I have to give the PS at Foreign Affairs credit. They really did have answers when I was interrogating their other. Because the line item other in the budget is generally where you have slush funds and the money is hidden and so on. But I think P.S. Harper, they were able to advise the minister, and he was able to give a breakdown because there was like a $400 million increase over last year.
I noted those questions from you.
Yes, and he was able to say, well, this is for legal fees, this is what we'll be doing with this. And so credit to PS at Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
But I have to give credit to Utah also. I don't know if he was a little
intimidated.
No, he was a little I don't know if he was a little intimidated. Hear me out, right? I don't know if he was a little intimidated, but his manner in response, I didn't hear that blatant arrogance like before.
Yes.
He was a little more
subdued in his response.
He was
very courteous. Quite courteous. I didn't
sound like Utah. Where to go? I mean, he sounded a little scared if
remember last year he gave us hell, so he was quite, the only thing.
I think you gave him a warning. I believe that's what happened. You must have warned him prior.
I can neither confirm nor deny that. But look, I was happy that they were able to provide the answers. The thing that I had a difficulty with, Doretta, is that there was not enough money for training.
But training,
Training
no,
for your foreign service. I
no.
mean,
So my difficulty for the persons out there that have been following, but more so for the persons that were not following the budget debates. I mean, that's a tedious process for you to sit and listen through. But you thought went out there, and he made a lot of comments about how intense they're going to be training. The training is going to be
Right.
so intense, and they're going to be
Right.
it's going to be so maximized. So for you to be saying now that the
$5 million.
budget to train who?
This is what I asked. So I asked, of course, for a breakdown because look, the reality is that our Guyana has always been a giant when it came to foreign relations for such a small state, and it is important because we do not have a large military.
Correct.
So our first line of defense is our diplomacy.
Yes.
So you always have to have a card of highly trained, highly skilled, highly competent diplomats. I don't know what $5 million will do. I am concerned about the fact of our training. I think we need to invest a lot more in our human capital.
Yeah,
and it continues to be
definitely.
the failing. And this is the issue that you have with the vice president, who makes it sound like a crime that we invest in recurring
expenses.
And he dared to suggest that that is where the corruption was. So the recurring expenses, paying people's salary, paying old age pension better. They clearly have a problem with that. So
Well, these the issues that we bring out, and a lot of times, it's very upsetting, to say the least, and it's disrespectful to the Guyanese taxpayers that we have to squeeze the information out of these people. I know that when it comes to training, that's something that you were pretty upbeat about it when you heard that they were going to do training. You were like, oh, well, this is something that I could support. So
Right.
I understand your disappointment when you're looking at the fact that they said so much about training, and now here we are, $5 million in the biggest budget they have out of $552.9 billion. Ministry of Foreign Affairs has actually budgeted $5 million to train
for
person.
training.
Wow, altogether,
Of our
wow.
foreign services.
Altogether,
Yes.
all programs.
All programs, across all programs.
So you added up nicely for them.
1 and 2. Yes, I did, because I was dumbfounded. So, again, it shows why we're having the issues that we're having at Tacuba Lodge.
Wow.
Why is it that there appears to be that we're learning about our foreign policy decisions from other people? Other people are announcing it. It really is. It really is a mess. But the reality of it is, when you see how everything is being decimated, you understand, as Kemraj put, to the controlled freakism.
But cameras, I think they don't like how cameras usually put it, but cameras usually have it on point, if I dare say. Cameras always have it on point. But Amanda, I want to talk about another bit of numbers that came out to us yesterday under the office of the Prime Minister, his program too, when we're talking about a disaster preparedness, response, and management, right? You would recall prior, we would have had a $5 million allocated to this particular line item in 2021. However, in 2021, there was the issue of flooding, and so on. They came back to the National Assembly and they requested that $10 billion to be added so that they can go out there and assist farmers that have been affected by the flooding and so forth. We also noted that we were following throughout that the reports of corruption in the distribution of those monies, right? They in actuality, the amount of money that was spent for that was over $8 billion. They did not reach the $9 billion in the monies that were spent there. However, what is interesting to note is the Prime Minister came to the National Assembly yesterday and he said that they budgeted $5 billion in that line item for 2022. So immediately I'm asking, like, what message are you sending to the farmers? Should they be expecting?
We anticipate a disaster.
They anticipate $5 billion to line item of other? Come on, you anticipating a disaster?
Doretta, again, it is either they do not know how to budget or that is just past Guyanese people. It's
I think it's both. I think it's both.
It could probably be both. Because Ankemad had a point.
Yes, he was livid.
This is a contingency.
Yes.
A contingency means exactly that. Unforeseen, uncatered for, And so we have to come
Yep.
for a supplementary.
Yes.
Why not come for a supplementary? The other thing is the NRF,
Yes.
the Natural Resource Fund bill that they tried to shove through Parliament, caters for them to withdraw from the NRF in emergencies.
Correct.
So you have a line item for five how much?
Billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
Plus access to the NRF. My God. Listen, I keep making the point that we're setting Guyana up for a grand heist. And all of these line items are where they're hiding the money and where they're going to steal the money. $5 billion. We anticipate a flood. We anticipate
But these
another
are
major
these are the
disaster.
experts on climate change. So I dare say they should not be anticipating to have
They
farmers in a
pretend to be
situation
the
of
experts on
disaster.
climate change, but yet you see the amount of money they're putting in planning for climate resiliency
Correct.
is this much.
Yep.
But you have 5 billion with a B guy in his money, also understand with a B in a slush fund, waiting for the for catastrophe.
You know, when these things happen, you got to think about it. I want persons to recall the very fact that the $10 billion, the reports of corruption is still out there. Persons went out there. This is not the coalition, the opposition. The opposition didn't go out there and do these
Remember
things.
Molly and Mala?
Well, Molly and Mala, that's the whole situation by itself. That's part of it. But persons would recall what I want to get to is that farmers, persons that were actually affected, they complained to the point that they were asking that the names of persons that received these monies be actually put out there publicly for everyone to see, because they knew for the very fact of how it was being done. These are the people on the ground. This is somebody that was affected by the flood, and persons either passed their house or just stopped in and gave them a $50,000 and went by someone that never planted anything in their life and gave them $500,000.
And some got as much as 3 million.
So now,
that did not plan.
So now the office of the Prime Minister is telling us that instead of the $5 million, which is reasonable to put in that line item, as was done in 2021. Now he's coming for $5 billion. And I dare say he was not prepared to answer any question on that line item, to the point that I said Kemraj Ramjitan, he got livid because he knows that this should not be. And I think at one point he actually said that.
It really flies against the face of all of the rules of budgeting.
Yep.
It flies against that the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act, which Kemraj pointed out.
Yes.
It really does breach a number of the fiscal regulations that are in place. But it is important that these things be brought out and that they be put on the Hansard so that they are recorded. Because, the PPPC, they're masters at revisionist history.
Wow.
They love to revise. It's history according to them. So when these things are on the Hansard and you can see and read it and it's preserved, then you get the fact of what really happened. And so I'm glad that Kemraj really took them to task yesterday, because it was an important element. That $5 billion could have done a lot in terms of alleviating the suffering of Guyanese right now.
It could have been put into so many things. The students at the University of Guyana, the actual administration of University of Guyana have been very happy if some of that money was actually allocated to them.
$3.2 billion more. It would take another 2.6 or something billion to provide free tuition. Less than 3 billion to provide free tuition to the entire.
Another thing that was uncovered yesterday. Another thing, Amanza, and I know you were very keen on listening to this one also, is that the Office of the President budgeted in 2021 as $60 million to set up a youth advisory council. They came to the National Assembly. It was part of their budget speech. In 2021, they said that they know how to deal with this. They are all for young people, and they are so interested, and they're going to put together this youth advisory council. Well, guess what? In 2022 budget, we still have youth advisory council, but we have 2021 budget, $60 million revised. When you revise it, they actually give you the number of how much was actually spent. Yeah. Revised zero, because they did absolutely nothing in that department at all. And then in 2022, now that they're saying that, well, oh, we're going to spend $60 million again to establish set up this youth advisory council. And when Ms. Teixeira responding to the questions were asked, she was asked, what's going on here? This is something that was supposed to be, the money was supposed to be.
Yes.
She said the technical work was done.
Technical work.
The technical, this is a council, you're not asking these people to go to Mars and come back. You're asking them to set up, we're not asking them. They said they would have set up this youth advisory council
Right.
because they care about the opinion of young people and all that. But guess what?
Mm.
They put absolutely nothing into it. Mr. Sher went out there and she said that they did the technical work. But however, when she was asked to provide the documentation of that report, she said that no, she will not be doing that because it wasn't done. Let's just be quite frank. Right. So we want to welcome folks that are now joining the program. This is for persons that just tuned in. This is FYI.
FYI.
For your information. I'm Giretta Finance. I'm here with Amanza Walton Desir. Amanza, persons always like to see a bright smile. I see the comments that come in actually. Guys, we are always here and I would like to have our screen just pop up so I can actually see some of the comments that are coming in. The technicians can help me out there. All right, so Manza, you're going to help me this morning with the comments that are actually coming in.
DJ Flavor Benjamin says, beautiful Guyanese ladies.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Mr. Benjamin. Thank you so much.
I see Maria is watching from Carmichael Street. Hey, Maria. She's a faithful viewer of the program.
Oh, you know Maria.
Yes, I do. Donna David. And
so Beatrice Selby is saying, blessed morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Beatrice. How are you? I see Karen Clark and Leslyn Charles. Leslyn is bringing some discipline to somebody that is up in the comments, speaking, some kind of crap.
The trolls. Good morning to all the trolls out there. It's always a pleasure to have you join us in the morning. I know that a lot of times we see the trolls out there, but they add to the numbers. So, bring a friend.
But not only that, I think it's important that we share the information. I think that I am always optimistic.
Me too. I was saying that earlier.
Maybe what they're saying is making sense.
We go through these comments. These comments, let me tell you, you guys in the comment section, we try our best to go through all the comments. Like yesterday, someone was saying, it's right to change your hair, put your hair in a different style. I said, you know what, the man said, I'm going to come this morning, I'm going to change his hairstyle because I don't want to upset this person again. So I hope it's a little better today. So, yeah, what is going on? We have good morning from Trinidad, Sharon Jordan, Philbert from Trinidad.
Good morning, Sharon.
The diaspora, the Caribbean all together. We love you people so much. We have to take a trip to Trinidad.
I think maybe after this budget, because God knows these 10 days of having to deal with just the corruption. I just do not.
It's draining, It's very draining. It's very draining.
People don't understand that it drains you. You have to sit there and you always have to be very mentally alert. You have to be able to scour through. You have to know the numbers. You have to be able to, because these people are so slick.
Yeah.
They are so slick.
You have to
block
out all the shouting and screaming that comes from the heckle specialists.
Yes. What did Kathy call them? The honorable empty vessels on the other side.
Honorable empty vessels.
Because look, and that is the reality of politics. I suspect parliamentary politics. There will be heckles, etc. But at the end of the day, we have to always keep an eye out for the corruption because, Giretta, it appears to me, or as Cheryl likes to quote me, it has occurred to me that corruption seems to be the order of the day under the PPPC. I mean, my goodness, when you think about just all of this happened over the last, and it's not 2 full years yet.
No, it's not.
That they have been in office.
I am afraid to see the corruption perception index at the end of 2022.
Well, Jack has gone to great lengths to try to say that is because of the APNU AFC, and like we had to point out really and truly.
But let's go to the bit
that don't
of
make
things
sense.
that we want to go. We're going to head into the corruption, right?
Yes.
However, before we even reach there, let's look at the conflict of interest, right? I know yesterday in the National Assembly, one of the things that was one of the bit of information that was squeezed out of these people
Yeah.
was the fact that the Commissioner of Information is who?
Charles Ramson Sr.
Charles Ramson Sr. Do you see this as a conflict of interest?
I don't know if it's a conflict, but it certainly reeks of nepotism.
It reeks of nepotism.
You know,
I think
what
that was
stood out to me, Joretta,
yes. Let me
was
hear it.
that this man's salary,
Mhm.
just this one man, in the Commission of Information,
Yes.
God knows if he goes to work every day.
I haven't seen any information.
I haven't. So we don't know if he works every day.
Yeah.
But what we know is that his salary is $23 million. This is one man. What we also know
That's what his budgeted
is
salary.
that the leader of the opposition, the entire operation, has received $27 million.
27
But one
million
man,
dollars.
Charles Ramson's father's salary is $23 million. And I want people to understand what that means. The leader, the office of the opposition is basically the foremost government watchdog.
Yeah.
You have to be able to go into your communities. You have to be able to do outreaches. You have to be able to go to meet your constituents. $27 million.
$27 million.
You
So
put
we
up a budget
got
for $8 to $7 million, and it gets slashed to $27 million.
wow.
And one man's salary, Charles Ramson's father, is $4 million less than to fund an entire operation. And so when we talk about attack on good governance, this is what we're talking about. You know, so you're constraining the office of the opposition from doing, what it has to do to represent the people of Guyana. But we will continue to.
Before we
what we
just
can.
plunge in a little more, we want to have some in-depth discussions on actual corruption in our country and how it has been going since the PPP took office in August of 2020. But yesterday, Amanda, one of the things that I know that you were pointing out that I believe is absolutely important to the people of this country is monies that were given to international commissions. And I think one particular one actually struck your attention. What was that?
Well, that was the CARICOM Committee on Reparations. And it caught my attention because we all know that our head of state had some trouble, pronouncing certain words on the international stage. But he made a commitment to reparations. So
That was last year.
This was last September.
So
yes. I was quite struck when I noticed in the budget that they did not actually forward to the CARICOM reparations body the dues it was budgeted,
yes.
but none was paid. And the explanation that I was
that was
given,
a 4.5 budget.
It was a small budget, but I gathered that they were administrative fees.
Correct.
The explanation was that it was not requested.
Seriously?
So yes. So I intend to delve into that a little bit more because I am uncomfortable with a head of state making a commitment to reparations and not ensuring that bodies such as the CARICOM reparations body, that they're not supported financially. Like I said in the budget, show me where you spend your money and I tell you what you value.
But if persons are spending their money into areas that we deem corrupt areas, if they're putting money on line items that give them the flexibility to do whatever they're very well pleased to do. It's a slush fund, that's what it is. So, I want guys to actually, we can back up. We can actually back up to what we've been saying for quite some time when it comes to corruption in our country. Amanda, I want us to go through it because sometimes I know we like to put it together in such a way that you can see for yourselves. Absolutely. You don't have to just take our word for it. We don't just come out like the PPP and say, this person is corrupt or this group is corrupt. We actually put it together for you. We actually say what it is. And as you see, Amanda, this is what Let's this is what we've been dealing with for quite some time.
Well, since August 2020, my God.
Wow.
The Guyana fuel supply racket.
Yes.
The COVID cash grant racket. The land for shore base racket. You remember when they cleared 49 acres of mangroves.
No, but
and the,
when they did that, the minister
of
Bharat
it was both of them.
stood up in National Assembly and said, "Well, y'all don't want we create jobs to people."
Yes,
That was
yes,
their damning
yes.
piece of words, you know.
And Jill said, well, the mangroves got to go for development.
Yep.
No balanced approach, balancing the environment with development. These people have
They don't
no
know what
clue.
they're doing.
Then we had the medical supplies racket, the regional tender board racket, the GWI racket.
Well, the regional tender board, let me stick a pin on this regional tender board racket, man. So this regional tender board racket,
Yeah.
it ain't no ordinary racket,
No,
you know.
no.
Let's not just get by that so quickly. The regional tender board racket, every single region of this country, we see the tender board doing things in a way in which we're questioning all the time. We have reports, credible reports, and we're going to be doing an entire show on that coming into us. You spoke about nepotism, Amanza. We will show you what nepotism looks like when we actually go through the regional tender board racket that is going on right about now. When I tell you about friends and family operation, you go to the regional tender boards and you will see what is going on in that particular area. Of course, they are shutting out everyone. Oh, and these line items, these monies, these capital expenditures that we're looking at, all of these little projects that are being budgeted in the budget 2022 and every other budget. The regional tender boards sit down there patiently, you know, they're tapping their fingers and they're waiting because they already have a lineup
in place.
They have the systems in place to make sure that those monies are directed in such a way that we are not going to be getting the quality that we deserve, as Sharon would have shown on one of his shows before. Even to draw a line on the road, we're not
draw it around, then you erased it. But you know, it is symptomatic of a deeper problem that we have. And then of course we had this very hard hitting interview with the vice president.
Well, so you don't point to that just yet.
That has to be a separate program.
That's a separate set. We're actually going to touch on that, you know. Yeah. But that one requires several programs to actually cover the depth of what is going on there. But I want us to go back to I want us to go back to that little graphic that was pulled up there by our technical staff. Go back to it. Let us go through the others. The corruption is real in this place.
The GWI racket. Then we had the GPL fuel racket. I don't know if you recall that one.
Well, GPL fuel racket, I think Sherrod had a ball with that one in the ring one evening. A person's back and forth the information, you know.
Yes,
and it's so astonishing that as soon as these are bodies that existed for the 5 years under the AFP and UAFC administration.
But Joretta, you if you look at the system, you will see what is happening. You have slush funds.
Yep.
You have the complete undermining of the procurement system. So the National Procurement and Administration isn't working as it should.
Yep.
The head of that is the head of the government programs. So the man that is building the roads is handing out the contracts for building the roads.
Wow.
It's colossal conflict of interest. So you have just like all
it's corruption, Amanza.
All of the pegs are putting all of the pegs are being put in place to just a grand heist. And these people,
but the same way they do that, that's what they do to make up. But the same way in which they are setting it up, they're also setting themselves up. And we rather suspect that we're going to have this domino effect. Right. And when you hit one, all are going to tumble because they're also interconnected in what they are doing. You know, we cannot tell you enough about the corruption that is going on in this country, and it's very sad, and we feel very passionate about it because every corrupt dollar that is spent, it should have been used in a better way when it comes to actually doing something for the poor people of this country.
And you make an excellent point. Because, you know, sometimes you read comments and you get comments like, oh, y'all should have done this when you were there. Oh, the PPP is doing this. Look, I think as a nation and as a people, we have to get to a point where we decide whether we will be a people governed by men or a people governed by laws.
Yes.
And if we are going to be people governed by laws, which is probably the better thing for any democracy, then we have to be prepared to condemn wrong wherever we see it. So it's not about we should have done the wrong that they are doing. Wrong is wrong is wrong. And a government has to be prepared to do right by its people. So this is
Yeah.
what I say to the people that say, "Oh, yeah, I should have done this when you were in there. Yeah, I should have done that." But it is not the right thing to do. And so, as a nation, Doretta, we're gonna have to come to a point where we understand
Mm.
that it is either we be a land that is governed by men, which is where your institutions are not functioning and where dictatorships flourish, or you be a land governed by laws, a people governed by laws. It
But you
really
know,
is that we have to choose.
but I want to take and you're absolutely correct in what you're saying. And Amanza is always on. You're on the money every time you make these. You connect the dots basically, and we
Okay.
have Guyanese persons looking at us from the Caribbean, from in the US, from Canada, from the UK,
UK.
wherever you're joining us today.
Yeah.
This is not, when we speak of these things, we are not just the opposition speaking on those matters. A lot of times we have persons like the trolls come in and they try to make it as though we're talking about these things. So try to water down the effect of what we're actually saying. But yesterday we had an interview with Vice Media that you were just speaking about, and I actually want us to actually look at that. Vice Media Group published an article yesterday in which they did an interview with none other than the Vice President of Guyana, Bharat Jagdeo. What did you take of that? What did you make of it? What are your takeaways from that particular
Well,
interview?
I have to do further assessment. My
Me
initial reaction
too.
was like, whoa, okay, these are certainly some hard hitting questions that are being asked. And what I liked about, and I really do hope that we got a glimpse of what journalism
Yes,
is
my
about,
gosh. I was so
because
impressed. My
you
gosh.
saw somebody that was not afraid to go where they wanted to go with
Yep.
the interview. You notice that the person established
From the
that he
beginning.
knew who Sue was.
Well,
So
but man, so you
an
were onto it,
opportunity.
Sue, great Guyanese.
Who is Sue?
Everyone wants to know who is Sue, who
Who
is
is
Mr.
Sue?
Sue.
Who is Sue?
This
You know
is the
that
most popular name today. I woke up
the other
everybody.
clip. So who the hell is Kim? Who is Sue?
Who is Mr. Sue? But the interview was done in such it was so structured, The woman doing the interview, she was so structured in the way in which she brought these questions up. Because she established, like you rightly said, who is Sue?
Who
And
is
if I'm to take
you
it,
know Sue?
from I think if I'm not mistaken, it was actually Demerara Waves that did an article on that, who basically said that, but he's saying that he admits that he knows a gentleman whose name is Mrs. Sue, who is his friend and his tenant, but he said that he is lying on him if he told the reporter those allegations. So he has
Sue is his friend and his tenant.
That's what I'm saying. It has already been established that Sue is someone not only known to him, but Sue is also someone that is his friend and tenant. Well, tenant, that word tenant, it had me a little bit, now we have to find out tenant where.
Which one of the properties he was occupying and renting?
Which property?
Yes.
But the damning allegation, and I actually want to go through a lot that was said, because after saying that he was basically refuting these allegations that he's taking bribes from persons to actually do for contracts for these Chinese persons for contracts. Well, Sue, when we hear Mr. Sue, S.U. Sue, well, that's not that name alone gives you an idea who Sue is, right? So we don't even have to question that, right? So he said, Mr. Jagio said he was unaware. I'm taking this out of Demerara Waves online there. Mr. Jagio said he was unaware of Mr. Sue's operations, possibly as a lobbyist for Chinese-owned company to develop infrastructure companies for as much as $500,000. He said, and he's been quoted here as saying, "I don't know how he makes his money, but this is his friend, right? I don't know how he makes
his tenant."
His money." He went on to say, "A lot of people are lobbyists and stuff like that here, but if you check our policy making, it is clear." But what wasn't clear was his response.
You see, and look, Who believes that? This is a
You know,
man that exercises control of the minutest detail
he's
of
he's like
government and its
that.
operations.
He's
As
like
Cameron
that.
said, a control freak. And
Yep.
you will have people operating here, he don't know. Oh, please.
Yep.
That's,
Well,
no, no.
you
Mm-mm.
know, the article goes on to say that Vice President Jagdeo, during a heated segment of the interview, accused the reporter of coming to Guyana to make someone look corrupt based on claims by an anonymous person of her fabrication.
Okay.
So back up a
So who is
little.
sued?
Back up.
Who is
Let's
sued
back up a
then?
little because we established earlier that Sue is a friend and a tenant. So I don't understand how we got to anonymous person of her fabrication. How do we get there?
Yeah.
Like I said, we saw journalism at its best yesterday.
I really do hope that for our democracy, because media plays a very important role in bringing information
Yep.
in journalism, and it makes me recall Jaretta. Not to pivot away from that, but to just add that you recall under the AP and UAFC there were cabinet briefings,
Well,
post cabinet
I
briefings.
actually want to talk about that because one of the things, Amanza, that came out again in that interview yesterday with the Vice Media, that interview actually brought out that the government terminated talk with the top bidder for the new bridge over Demerara. My gosh,
Wow.
man. So now we're picking this up out of Stabrook News. We're picking this up out of Stabrook News this morning. And Stabrook News actually saying the Guyana government has terminated talks with the Chinese State Construction Engineering Corporation for the building of the new Demerara Harbor Bridge as its financing costs are too high. This was disclosed in an interview on February 1st between Vice President Barry Jagdeo and Media Group. The government will now move to talks of the second ranked bidder. Listen to me, persons. It is quite astonishing that the people of this country would have to learn that these talks have been terminated
Right.
through an interview. This is not a briefing that's coming to us of the most important nature, mind you. This briefing is not coming to us from a cabinet press briefing because they have no such thing. You know, when a coalition was in office, every single time
Every
cabinet met, we had that.
Contracts that were awarded were announced.
Yep.
Contracts that were awarded were published in
Yep.
the papers. And Joretta, it takes me back to the point that this is how you govern with respect for your people.
Correct.
You provide information. And so
Yep.
when you believe that you don't need to say anything because you simply need to take what we're doing and sit down and be happy with it, you show a clear difference in terms of the quality of leadership that the coalition brought and the quality of leadership that this PPPC brings. Why are you having to learn that from Vice Media? It's the same thing. Our foreign policy announcements, you're hearing it from third state
That
rather
is
than
true.
from
That is
Tacuba
true.
Lodge. And I want the people of Guyana to understand that that is disrespectful, that you deserve more and you deserve better. And I believe that what the 5 years, well, the 3 effective years of the coalition demonstrated is that Guyana was capable of a better level of governance, as indicated by all of those blacklists that we came off of and how
Yes.
well we did on the transparency index. I really do want us to continue to strive for better.
But these
Better is
things happen
possible.
when we have a group of people who is not interested. They couldn't care less about the manner in which they are perceived. They do not care about that. The only thing they care about is how much their kickback is going to be, who is going to get the larger part of the cut. And this is the way in which they go out and they govern and they manage things all together. They're not concerned about whether or not you have some starving children and family in need of money and resources to better their lives. That's the least of their concern. That does not bother them. And they have this sort of Machiavellian personality,
Well,
I
I
dare
did. I
say.
did describe them as a mafia masquerading as a government.
They
I
have
think
this
it
Machiavellian
hurt some
personality. You know,
people's feelings, but
some people that I could say that, and for persons who don't know, a Machiavellian personality basically is someone that it goes like by any means necessary. They say the end justify the means. So this is the end results they're looking to accomplish, and basically they are going to go through whatever means if they have to kill, I dare say, to get to that end result. That is what they are willing to do. That is someone with a Machiavellian personality. And we see these traits being demonstrated a lot by persons in government, that they do not care who they have to railroad to get to where they need to be. They're going to get there nevertheless. And that is just the sad reality of what is going on. When we look at the fact that we had to learn about the talks being terminated with a Chinese company to do the Demerara Harbor Bridge, it brought back the memory of the fact that we that was not Guyanese news media, that's Vice media, that is US based media coming and actually
Having to say that.
squeeze
Having
that
to let us
information
know that.
out.
Yeah.
We would recall even when it was another country's news site that actually, let me recall. I can't recall the name. But when it came to the COVID-19 vaccines, that also,
Yes.
that
It was
also, Mansa.
It was a European news site that broke about the whole issue with Sputnik and
So
the
they can't
racketeering
go
that went on
exactly
with the Sputnik
with the
V.
Sputnik vaccine, right? And so they cannot go out at any point in time now and say, the coalition is trying to scandal them. This is not a coalition. Vice media does not work with the coalition. This is what it is. The administration is being managed in a corrupt manner. They do not care about ordinary people, and that is why we keep saying that if you go down the streets, you will see persons without money. Manza, whilst all of those things are going on, whilst persons are so, while the administration is out there lobbying with persons for the best kickbacks possible out of the taxpayers' dollars, and now added to that the natural resource fund revenues. While they're out there thinking about how they make it big for themselves and for their friends and families with the nepotism that is involved in that, we have a manager from the GPHC in a bus can't afford to pay her own passage to go to work. While that's happening, we have people going to Western Union and the bank's ATM with the last dollar to their name, and if they don't get that money there, they are left stranded, because that's how bad things are in our country right now.
Absolutely. And I hear just the absolute banality of what goes on in the National Assembly. Oh, yeah, I'll bet you can get your hands on the money.
Yep.
That's the money that belongs to the people of Guyana.
Yes.
You
yes.
are stewards of that, and your job is to manage it properly. But again,
But the
Joretta,
way in which they speak about this money, I swear it's their own.
Well, Kwame McCoy did stand and say in his budget presentation the people of Guyana belong to them.
Wow.
If you recall.
But I dare say that no one wants to belong to Kwame McCoy.
And so, but it betrays the psyche of these people. And I dare say that the only people that can bring an end to this and that can hold government accountable are the people of Guyana. And we cannot be afraid to speak up. We cannot be afraid to speak out. We have to understand that Guyana is ours, and we got to build it.
Yep.
I heard what's his name? The MP in defense of Ashley Singh said Ashley had to jump on a plane to go to Dubai to feed his family.
Oh, well, that one was...
Kamarsi Raj, he had to jump on a plane. And I bemoan the fact that they're Guyanese. Buddha said something, who could afford to run will run, but what about those who can't?
Well, Ashley spent 2 hours and 30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, to actually rebut all that was said by the opposition. And
then he spent a good half an hour on you.
No, he didn't reach half an hour, but he did spend 20 minutes rebutting what I said. Thank you for that. 20 minutes, but it was 20 minutes of saying absolutely nothing. I'm yet to hear the substance that comes out of it. He could not refute what I was saying. He even challenged the calculation that I was doing, Manza. But I dare challenge him to correct it publicly. You go publicly and correct it, since I'm incorrect,
Absolutely.
So, we talk about these things. I know Sherrod, especially when it comes to this interview with Vice Media. I know that Sherrod Duncan is not just going to put this down. And I encourage you to join. His program is going to be Below the Belt. It's going to be at 12. Join there. I know he's going to be discussing that some more. And then in the ring this evening at 8 p.m., Sherrod is always there, and we are always happy to see each and every one of you there. So before we go, I just want to shout out some persons. If our technician could actually bring up our comment section so that we can see you guys, so that we can say our final goodbye for this morning. Yes, Karen, welcome. We see you there.
See Andrew Cosbert. There's Rhonda Ferguson. Good
Yep.
morning, Rhonda. We see Cecile Ogle. Good morning. I don't know if that's Cecile or Cicely, but good morning to you. And Diane Graves Zandy, we see you.
Diane Grisandi is an ardent
Yes,
viewer.
she's always there. She said they think Guyana is their own.
Well, they don't know what is going on. We will fight to defend the rights of Guyanese people.
Absolutely,
We are not just
absolutely.
going to let them go away with that. You know.
Yes.
Yes. Karen McCoy, you hear commenting again. Karen said it was a great program.
Karen related to Kwame.
No, Karen, are you?
Karen,
are you related to Kwame? Karen McCoy. Tell us, Karen.
You gotta talk to the boy. But thank you so much for joining us. It is you who you make the difference,
Yes.
and you give us the motivation to get up every day and to bring these programs to you. We just want to appreciate Sherrod. I don't know where he gets the energy.
I swear.
But shout out to Sherrod, Avery Duncan, and his technical team.
And you guys, please share the live.
Share the live.
Smash that emoji. Come on, you
smash the emoji button.
Sharon is going to be grading us for this program this morning. So give us those good reviews, and a lot of persons come back. One of the things with these programs is that a lot of persons come back after in their own time. A lot of people don't have the time from 8 to 9, but they come back to view it. So for those persons that could not join us this morning, just share the live stream. Make sure that you encourage persons. There's so many different platforms for you guys to utilize. And it was so wonderful having you with us this morning. Like Amanda rightly said, you are the reason that we are here. Without you, this program would be absolutely nothing. And as you know, Sherrod Duncan, I cannot do this as he does it, but I'll still remind you that FYI is an affiliate program for Us in the Ring, and I'm going to tell you guys to make sure that all of this is possible only with your contribution. So I am so happy to be a part of this and to actually see all that Sherrod Duncan actually does behind the scenes. If you see this, you will be absolutely amazed by the work that he does, and this comes with your small contributions towards the program. So we encourage you to continue to contribute towards this program, and this is one way in which you out there, every contribution that you make to this program, my dear Amanda, is also assisting to hold the PPP accountable for taxpayers' dollars. This is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're heading now to the National Assembly again to scrutinize.
Day 2 of the estimate.
Yes, day 2 of it. So
thank you guys for joining us, and have a great day.
Have a great day, guys.